Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today in our new training webinar for figuring out fundraising. So we're kind of back to the basics with this fast and fun fundraising training. Everyone is welcome to join us in discovering how to manage incoming donations within your databank system. So we have a few learning objectives for today. And so the first one is going to be how to properly set up a fundraising campaign, how we can enter contributions using various methods, and how to process payments. Again, just a brief reminder, your help menu located at the bottom of your drop-down menu located on the left-hand side. Here you can find our support center where you'll find more of the frequently asked questions support articles using the search bar. You can type in, a one-worded keyword, and it should populate with, related documentation on that. And then additionally, if you have any questions, outside of today's training, whether, it's reviewing, a search query to make sure that's, the correct parameters, you can reach out to us via the support request. And then also take advantage of our upcoming trainings that we have available. I know we have some that are going to be in relation to the DBOT, so feel free to sign up for those as well. So to go ahead and get started, we're gonna go over how to set up a campaign and how to start from zero with that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our menu and click on the campaign option. And so here you'll notice that I have a list of my campaigns here. So here I can filter my list to only include those that are actually active. So just clicking on that drop down and click only the ones that are active. If I really wanted to view all of them, including the inactive, I could just click the show all and it's going to go ahead and demonstrate that. So rather than deleting a campaign once you have established, a set of campaigns, we always just suggest to mark that campaign inactive. So at a glance, we have the campaign numbers, the start date, if any, or applicable, the description of the campaign itself, and then followed by the campaign name. So here, we're gonna go ahead and start from scratch, but to kind of give us an idea of what these campaign, could look like, we'll just go into one of these. And the first one that I want to go ahead and go over is just the online donations. So I'm just going to click on the title. And so by clicking on the title, I get shown to this specific screen where we could see sort of the summary of the overall campaign. So the title and then the segments. So we're going to be talking about the segments in just a moment here. But if I go back to my list, let's just go back to the same one. If I click on the edit icon, it's actually just gonna take me to a separate screen where I'm just editing the name of the actual campaign that I've created. So not the segments, but just more so the campaign name, description, whether I want to mark it as inactive and not. So to go ahead and get started, I'm just going to go back to my list. And so here, I'm going to go ahead and click on a plus icon. So in the sense of, what is a campaign? How do you determine, like what we're going to call it? And like what segments we're going to be attributing to this. We're going to go into this next screen. And that's going to just take a look at what a campaign structure is, what the contribution hierarchy could look like, and just demonstrate an example of how you could potentially set up your fundraising campaigns within your database to track your data. So In the context of the database, campaigns refer to any type of marketing initiative to solicit responses from your contacts or prospective contacts of your database. So within a fundamental level, campaigns are just going to be a means of organizing. So you have, this set of data, and then you're going to structure it into different campaigns. And then just based on that campaign, you're going to have different segments to sort of, you know, attribute that information, that data, for that overall campaign. So for example, here we have our contribution type. So this would be a specific set of contribution types. And then based on that contribution type, you have different campaigns associated to it. And so while here we're only looking at one campaign, we're going to be looking at different segments. So different donations that get attributed to different sections slash data that we'd want to track for that campaign. So as a better example, we're going to scroll down and you can actually find this data like representation, the campaign structure within our support center. You'll just want to go to the search bar and just type in campaign structure and it should populate for you. So as we go a little bit more in depth of the actual example here, so we have the special events as our campaign type. And based on the special events campaign type, we have house parties as another campaign, the baseball game as another campaign, and the award banquet campaign. So based on that, we have different segments. So we're going to be tracking the table sales, the program ads, the individual gifts, and the silent auction segment. So we're gonna be able to find out what was the donation amount that we got or contribution amount that we got for individual gifts versus the table sales and silent auction, etc. So the way that we would, set this up within our database system is, so for example, here we have the award banquet. So we're gonna go ahead and do this and say summer, or we'll just do FY 24. And we'll just do that, and then we'll probably elaborate a little bit further within the actual campaign name. And once you've, started all of these, creating your campaign, the main one that is the more crucial one is going to be your campaign number slash code. This does have to be unique to each campaign, so you can't have, multiple campaigns that have the same campaign number slash code. So again, this would just have to, if we're doing this based on a year by year basis, that we would just, we could duplicate it and then just update the fiscal year to from 24 to 25. So go ahead and say summer FY December 2024. And then description is totally optional. This is very similar to like your PowerMail issue description, and so where you're able to differentiate and distinguish from one campaign to another. Specifically, if you're trying to do some like A/B testing where you segment, like your segments for your campaign differently from the other. So just internal description only. No one else would really see this, but just yourself and your staff members that have access to your database. Campaign type, so just again, depending on how you want to segment your different kinds of campaigns, you could do so by, membership, online donation, sales and fees versus like conference or general donations. So here we're gonna go ahead and say it is for special event. as our campaign type. And of course, if we want to add a different one or a new one to that drop down list, we would type it here. And once we click submit, it would then add it to the drop down list. Organization, if you have like the coalitions module set up within your database, which pretty much enables the suborgs tool module, you'll have this drop down. If you don't, don't really worry about it. It's mainly just used to distinguish, where you would want this campaign to reside / live under, whether it's just, the main sort of login, or if you want it to be specifically, to your zone 1 or zone 2 subworks. All of these fields, for starting from like start date all the way to project cost per M, there are all optional. It's more for internal sort of markers only, so you can distinguish, if you put a start date versus a close date, just an internal marker only. It's not going to close it automatically for you, but it's available there. Again, where you could sort of establish a projected, number amount that, you're thinking you're gonna, raise from this campaign, and then versus, like compare it to the actual donation amounts once they start coming in. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave those blank and click submit. As we click submit, we are not done. So whenever you are creating a campaign, yes, like the title, the name, the campaign code, all very important. But more importantly, if you do create a campaign, you need to have at least one segment. So here, we can see that we're back on the screen, but as we can see here on our right-hand side, we don't have any existing segments. So what we're gonna go ahead and do, just kind of go based off our current example, we're gonna have a table sales segment. The name does have, I believe, a 15-character code limit. So sometimes if, you are, running short on space, we could try to make it shorter. And then once we know like how we want the full segment name to be called, we will put the full description within the description text box. So table cells. And then by default, the code is usually kind of just based off your campaign code / title. You can change it to sort of match any naming convention you like to follow. Usually, again, you're gonna just be seeing these in the reports if you include it. But it's just, again, meant mainly to get attributed to the individual segment. So here we're gonna leave the code as FY24, and we'll just put table cells, so kind of matches with our description. The quantity, this is again optional. You don't have to put anything within the specific quantity, but mainly more so if you want to set like a limitation of, how many, sort of quantity you want that segment to have. Renewal period are primarily used for like membership. If you're going to be offering membership, how long you want that period, for it to be. So I believe by default, it'll be like 1 year. So if someone purchases quote unquote a membership today, June 4th, 2024, then the renewal for that membership, if it's attributed to this segment, would be 1 year. But if it's 2 years, then it would then have a membership date of 2 years from now, so 2026. Again, totally optional. You do have the ability to manage like the frequency of like payments and what all that means when you are going into the actual forms and the contribution tab, but we're going to be looking at that once we go over the forms module. So we're going to go ahead and click submit. All right, so it says do not use spaces, so we're going to remove spaces. All right, so we've created our first segment, and so because I just want to go ahead and go off based off this particular example, we're gonna go ahead and do this one. And we'll just do program ads, and then your key code for your each individual segment can't have spaces. So which is why it's letting us know that earlier. So we're gonna go ahead and click submit and individual gifts. So here I'll just go ahead and do this. I'll, abbreviate a little bit into gifts, and same thing with the key code. I'm just going off the segment name just to kind of keep everything um concise and consistent with one another, so it just makes a little bit more sense later on. And we'll do the silent auction. um, and click submit. All right, so now we can, we can also click on the title to just kind of go back to the same page that we were just under. But if I'm going to go back to my segment list, this is what we would get once we are done creating our campaign and our segments. Now that we've created it, we can go ahead and start using this campaign. So whether that means attributing to online donation form, whether that means attributing to a meeting or event registration, um, additionally, the next thing that we're going to be covering is we're going to be covering how we can enter a payment within a contact record. So there's a couple of different ways, right? If a contact record doesn't exist within your database system, you could fill out a donation form, from your donation forms located within your database system or on your website, fill out their details. If you're logging into your database and you want to do it here, and again, they don't already exist within your database, the best way is just to go to payments and click on add payment. So when you follow these steps, when a person doesn't exist within your database, you are taken to a page where one, you are entering the person's personal information, their contact details. So for example, here we'll just go ahead and say, Abraham. That'll be the first, last name, putting in the address, and we'll put in the details associated to this person's payment, and we'll just do this. I'll believe, hopefully it's gonna go ahead and 554. Oh, and okay. All right. So these are all the details that I, need, to make sure I can process a payment, making sure I put a mailing address. All of these other ones like phone number, personal information, they're not required, but of course, the more information you are able to put in right now, the better, as you can more information for your contact record. And so as we scroll down, this is where we would enter the payment information for this individual. So here, if you have a contribution type, we'll just say no, the payment method. So if you put credit, it's gonna ask you to select your payment gateway. This is a test database, so we currently don't have any test payment gateway set up for this database account, but here is where you would select the corresponding one. Down below is where you would, put in the dollar amount for your contribution, the frequency, whether it's a one-time, reoccurring donation, and then followed by the credit card information. So once you do type it in and click submit, you will have to process the payment. Again, what we don't store the credit card information, so you wouldn't be able to come back later on and modify, let's say, the card number, because it'll just list like only the last four digits. So here, additionally, like if you want to do ACH, so that's, bank to bank routing information. So pay by automatic clearinghouse, put in that information here for the bank and routing and account number for your donor. Additionally, we can go ahead and do check or cash, etc. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do the credit. And just so I can demonstrate how we would do that. I don't know that it will process completely because I can't select a payment gateway. But of course, you want to make sure that you select your corresponding campaign. So for example, here we'll go ahead and select the right one, select in the individual gifts, and the total amount will be 500. I want it to be a one-time payment, so that's fine. If I wanted this to be an open-ended recurring payment, just asking me, what that would look like. So here the card type will do Visa. Here we'll just do, and then 26, and okay. So what I'm gonna do, just very briefly, is I'm just gonna go ahead and pretend I'm going to put in a card number for the phone and just copy that. So this is a fake sort of fake credit card, so to speak. And so essentially, I'm still not gonna be able to process this payment, but it should at least add it to my payments page. So because this person again doesn't exist within my database, I don't have to go in and create a contact record first, like as I am creating this payment contribution. It's gonna already create the contact record for me, and then it's gonna go ahead and attribute the payment to the contact record. You'll notice here that it's in my payments page, but I have yet to post it. So whenever contributions come in from your data bank, whether it's through like your donation forms, whether it's you manually, adding a new contribution for an existing contact record, you want to make sure you still go into your payments page on a periodic basis, regular basis. And so that could be 1, 2, 3 times a week. But if you post it, so right now, depending on the payment gateway that you have, you'll probably have to click on a hyperlink here that says submit to your corresponding payment gateway. That will process that payment and send the information to the payment gateway itself. But once you post it, it'll go ahead and add that contribution into that contact record. So I click post, then I click on process selected payments, the button located on that right-hand corner. And so once we do that, it's going to go ahead and add it into Abraham Smith's contact record. It's taking a minute right now. Alrighty, so we're gonna go and click on the quick add and click Abraham Smith. And there we go. So if we click on his information on his name, it's going to take us to his contact record, and on the contribution history, we're going to be able to see that $500 contribution amount. So The other example to how to add a contribution into an existing contact record is by going into your contact record. So here I've already done that. You know, you could do a quick search, do a quick find. And then here you're going to go ahead and either, depending on what you want to do. So if you click on the add new payment, it's going to prompt you to actually process a contribution for this individual. So whether that's, you know, a credit card payment, ACH payment. So here, same thing like we did earlier when we were adding a brand new contribution. So we're gonna go ahead and say the same campaign. We'll just do silent auction, and the total amount we'll just do total amount of 1,000, and the payment method of course would be credit. um Select the corresponding segment, the card type, Visa. Followed the same kind of steps, you know, I did earlier. And once I click submit, it's not gonna automatically add it, you know, to his contact record, because we'll still need to um post the transaction so that it could actually show into his contact record. But by clicking on that credit card icon, it's going to prompt us to fill in the contribution information for the payment that your contact record will be making. So here, even if I go into his contact record, it's not gonna populate and demonstrate that 1,000 contribution history. Um, so again, very important that we post the payment. And then alternatively, the plus icon, it's just going to be used more so when you have like cash donations, check donations, because it's not going to prompt you with, you know, where to enter your credit card, where to enter your ACH/bank information. So that's going to be the two difference between, you know, the plus, you know, icon and the credit card icon. The credit card icon will just allow you to process those contributions within your database system. So there is that. We have some time that have to answer some questions. And so let's see, that little checkbox that says billing address is the same can't make things very tricky. Oh, for when we're looking at the payments page. Yeah, and
Yes,
so
that has
yeah,
caused us a lot of trouble.
and would you want to share a little bit more why that may be? Is it more because it won't be the billing address associated to the credit card that they want associated to their contact record?
Yes, and if they don't have a record and they create one through that payment, many times they'll put their personal address in and they're using a company credit card. Do you want to go back to that page so people know what we're talking about?
Yeah, I think it's taking a
We-
second to load. Yeah, so give me a
Yeah,
second.
so we do this every year, and every year we ask people to please be sure they put in the address of the credit card right there, the billing address, the same as the personal address. I'm just giving everybody a heads up because if that is clicked, and the billing address for the company card is different from what they entered, it's going to kick out the payment. So that's just something to be aware of.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean it's and it might, you know, work better if, you know, they're, you know, I haven't take the look at your phone recently, but you know, making sure that maybe the personal section has like a disclaimer, like as you're filling out this form, you know, making sure that your billing address, you know, it if you have, because I believe the billing address, this also is part of what you can handle within like the donation form itself. So just a disclaimer that says, hey, you know, if your billing address is different, make sure
Right.
that,
We,
yeah,
we put
'cause-
that language in there, but people don't always read it. So, um,
yeah.
I would just say that's something to look out for and to add that language when you're creating a form.
Yeah, no, thank you. And so I know depending on the payment gateway, there will be different case scenarios. But if also if you have any questions as far as, when it comes to processing payments, like for example, Venco, which is a payment gateway we don't necessarily support in the sense that we don't they don't take new ongoing clients, but we do support the existing ones to process like foreign donations from, let's say, like United Kingdom. There's like a workaround so to that, so we have to delete like the zip code and making sure that the country is set to the corresponding, donation country, and then of course that the payment gateway is set up to receive international transactions. So things like that, little things that might not, necessarily be, okay, we need to do this. Can we still be done to be able to like process, international donations. So again, if you have any questions with anything related to payments or your payment gateway, feel free to let us know or reach out to us at a different point in time, and we'd be more than glad to discuss options or answers to your questions. But today we went ahead and went over a few different things in relation to figuring out fundraising. And so we learned how to set up a fundraising campaign, how to enter a contribution, using both, within the payments page or a contact record. Alternatively, they can be done through the online donation forms, how we learn how to process payments. And yeah, so if you don't have any questions, I'll see you in our next training session, which will be Thursday. And we're just going to be looking a little bit more closely on the fundraising reports and so forth. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And I'll just stick around if anybody else has any questions. Yep. So how soon will the recording be available after session? So right now they're currently most of them are in our YouTube channel. I have to go ahead and make some just edits on them briefly. Uh so I would say probably by the end of the day today, I'm thinking that they should all just be published in our support center. Yep, no problem.